श्री सच्चिदानंद सद्गुरु साईनाथ महाराज की जय। सद्गुरु श्री साईनाथ निशरत बाबूजी की जय। Rose Petals, Volume 2, Chapter 9. Sri Pundi Swami, the transmitter who never fails. Sri Pundi Swami was first seen around 1935 in a village called Kalasapakam, about 20 miles from Tiruvannamalai in the South Indian state of Tamil Nadu. When he first revealed himself to public gaze, he had assumed the mien of a mad person. With his gait and well-built physique, he appeared to the villagers to be a retired military man. He stayed first in the Kakamgalai Pilliyar temple and then in a dilapidated mosque by the side of the road. Later, he stayed in the Draupadi temple and under trees by the roadside. He used to wear a long shirt like a garment reaching below his knees and would never remove it even when it became torn and bedraggled. If someone gave him another shirt, he would not remove the old shirt but wear the new one over the old. His shirt pockets would be filled to bursting with old empty cigarette packets, cigarette stubs, and old scraps of paper which he had stuffed into them. He would never ask anyone for anything, even food or water. If anyone offered him food, they would have to feed him as they would a child. He would never feed himself. If someone put a cigarette in his mouth and lit it, he would smoke. He never talked to anyone on his own, and he never bathed. His body would be dirty and his hair matted with grime. Flies would be swarming over him, attracted by the grime and dirt, but he would never bother about them. If he started to walk, he would keep walking for miles together without stopping to rest. If once he sat down, it would be days or weeks or maybe even months before an impulse made him start up again. Once he got up, he would move off and go where his fancy took him. Nobody could predict when he would sit still or move, or where he would be at any time. Nobody knew his antecedents, his parents, or where he came from. None knew his caste or creed, or even his name. No one ever heard him take the name of God or speak of spiritual matters. At first, the people of Kalasapakam dismissed him as just another madman. It took a miracle to show them that he was not a madman, but a great Mahatma who had assumed the form of a madman for his own mysterious purposes. A river named the Cheyar flows by the side of Kalasapakam. It is a seasonal river which flows whenever it rains in the nearby hills, but remains dry the rest of the time. The Swami used to sit in the sand of the riverbed, which was burning hot in the fierce heat of the Indian summer. It used to be very difficult to walk across the riverbed because the burning sand seared your feet like a coal fire. But the Swami used to sit on the sand with no covering whatsoever, as if he were lolling on a silken mattress under the cool light of the full moon. It was normal for the river to have flash floods whenever the surrounding hills got a heavy rain shower. Once, when the Swami was sitting on the riverbed, a flash flood occurred. All those who saw him sitting on the riverbed thought he must have been swept away and drowned in the flood. Once the flood had ebbed, the villagers rushed to the spot where they had last seen the Swami. To their amazement, they saw him still alive, buried up to his neck in the sand. They dug him out and the Swami walked away calmly as if nothing extraordinary had happened. When the villagers saw that the Swami was still alive after being submerged in the flood for so long, they realized he must be a great Mahatma and not merely an ordinary man. The Swami became famous in the surrounding areas and they started calling him Atrangal Swami or River Swami. He roamed hither and thither near the village of Pundi until around 1960 he sat down on the raised porch of a house by the side of the road. He never left that porch again for 18 years until he attained Mahasamadhi in 1978. The Swami was the personification of the Ajagara Bhava or the impossible passive state as defined in the Yoga Sastras. Devotee. We have heard that the late Kanchipuram Shankaracharya once said, if we are all light bulbs, Pundi Swami is the transmitter. And I wonder, Guruji, is this still his function? Guruji. Yes, it is still there. The pontiff of Kanchi Kamakoti Peetham, Sri Chandrasekharendra Saraswati Swami, said of Pundi Swami, if we are all bulbs, Sri Pundi Swami is the transmitter. These bulbs do not light up until the transmitter is switched on. Sometimes we switch off the lights or a bulb goes out, but the transmitter is still there. In the transmitter, there is no bulb to show it is the transmitter. That's the problem. Whether the transmitter is on or not, you do not know by looking at the transmitter. Looking at the bulb, you can say, ah yes, the transmitter is working. Sometimes bulbs may go out, but the transmitter always works. And Pundi Swami's job is like the transmitter. It works, it is still working. A transmitter never fails. He is the transmitter who never fails. Devotee. When you went to see Pundi Swami, were you already a devotee of Sai Baba? Guruji. Yes, Sai Baba was my Guru. Devotee. Was Pundi Swami able to help you? Guruji. He didn't say anything, but in his presence I experienced something which transformed my whole life. Devotee. After your experience in Pundi, would you say that your longing increased or was answered or both? Guruji. It was answered. Devotee. So the longing was fulfilled, but did it stop? Wasn't there the longing to experience it more and more? Guruji. Yes, I am experiencing it. I am experiencing it continuously. In fact, I don't have any words for that experience. I haven't found any words in all the Sastras. These things we shouldn't try to question or understand. There are certain things which have no words and can only be interpreted. Devotee. How was Pundi Swami's love expressed? Guruji. His love was so much that he had no other object. He was the object. And he simply sat, totally focused. He had not even the need to move out, even one step. He was just like a mirror. For example, if a photographer had fear and approached him timidly, then that same expression would come on Swami's face. Simply that. He was always like a mirror. Immediately his expression would change with the next man who came. If the man talked in a friendly, intimate manner, then Swami would also talk in a friendly, easy way with him. Whatever he expressed was not his expression, but that of the person who received it. He himself had no expression at all. He was so transparent. And he was so transparent that through him I saw Sai Baba only. That is why I always say that it is Sai Baba who gave the experience. His personality was not a veil. Even to see that there was a Pundi Swami between me and Sai Baba. And I haven't seen such transparency anywhere else. Devotee. So would you say that his love was expressed by this transparency? Guruji. His love was expressed by giving whatever the people who asked him needed. If someone asked for health, he gave it. If someone came for spiritual experience, he gave it. If it was for total fulfillment, he gave it. And if it was for children, he gave it. Everything. Whatever anyone needed and asked for, he gave it with love. Not even with the restriction, oh, you should only ask for mukti. My department is only this, the mukti department. For mundane things I am not concerned. Devotee. Why is one person attracted to one saint and a second person to another? What dictates that choice? Guruji. Nothing. It is not your choice. In fact, it was not my choice to go to Pundi. And then I didn't expect it even that he was such a great man, I had absolutely no notion of him. I was not even interested. I simply had to start my journey, and my guru said, "Go and stay there with him for some time and then go anywhere you like." That's all. I didn't have any idea what Pundi Swami would be like. Devotee. But is that again what we talked about yesterday? The karmic bond which leads you to one person rather than another? Guruji. Yes, there was the bond of my karmic relationship with him. Also, when Baba described the state of his own guru, it almost exactly tallies with the description of Pundi Swami. I'm not saying that Pundi Swami was the guru of Sai Baba, but the way that Baba described his guru, it is exactly the same description for Pundi Swami. Devotee. How is that? Guruji. Read Baba's life. Baba said to Swami Sai Sharan Anand, "My guru was just simply sitting and he was an embodiment of love. He was not in a position to take care of his own calls of nature even, and I used to serve him, cleaning his body and feeding him." Can you show me another who fits that description? Except for Pundi Swami, I haven't seen one. Pundi Swami never took food with his hands. If he was not fed, he would simply sit there. Somebody would have to feed him. If you put something in his mouth, he would eat it. Not only this or that much, but however much. Even if 100 people brought food and fed him, he would eat it. What happened to all that food? We do not know. If you put anything in his hand, he would keep it there, and then somebody would have to come and take it, then throw it away. If you put a cigarette between his lips and then lit it, he would smoke. If you only put it in his hand, then he would keep it there. He wouldn't smoke it. And he used to answer his calls of nature there itself, then somebody had to come and clean it. If nobody gave him food, even for months, he would go without it, just like that. He never begged for food. He is absolutely the symbol of someone who doesn't require anything. He was totally free of all needs, including even his physical needs. Devotee. And as far as anyone knows, was this always the case? Does anyone know of a different time? Guruji. No. No one knows a different time. He just appeared like that. From the beginning, he was like that. When he used to walk, he would walk and walk for about 1 month without stopping anywhere, all around Kalasapakam, Pundi, and the Cheyar River. He'd simply be walking day and night walking. And if at all, from some external impetus, we do not know, it is not recorded, he had to sit, then he sat, that's all. He used to sit in the same place for months and months together. And if for some reason he was prompted to get up, then he would get up and walk and walk. That's all. Devotee. Guruji, even when you had your experience sitting in front of Pundi Swami, you attributed that to Baba. Why? Guruji, I never said that I attributed it to Baba. I said it was coming from Baba. I never said attributed. I knew it was coming from Baba. Devotee. Then what was Pundi Swami's role? Guruji. Just like the role I am playing with you, the role of a spoon. You take soup with a spoon, but who made the soup? Who gave you the soup? And what is the soup? The spoon is only a means, and you should know how to handle it properly. If you think the spoon is giving and then try to bite into it, you'll lose your teeth, that's all. That is why I always say, I don't do anything to you. Use me only as a spoon. I am a spoon. Use me properly. The one who gives is Baba. Instead of trying to verbalize my experience with Pundi Swami, I am asking you to try to experience it. What you get here, what you experience with me, may be the fringes of that experience. If you are really interested to know what it is, try to catch hold of the fringe and go ahead. Continue. Go ahead. Plunge and you will experience it. Then you will be able to tell me what I have experienced. I'd be interested in hearing it from you. Otherwise, if I start describing these things, it leads to dogmas, to doctrines, to giving you more concepts. If that was good, I would give it, no problem. But it is of no use. Whether something happened or not, whether it is true or not, just rely on your own experience here and now. If you are experiencing something, even the fringe of it, stick to it. Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj ki Jai. Sadguru Shri Sainath Nisharat Babuji ki Jai.